Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching. Channel's called Ratchet. My name's Andrew, and on this episode, we go for the very first drive. Run the title. Welcome to the channel if you're new. If you're not, thank you for tuning back in for yet another episode. As you will have seen from the clip at the start of this video, this is a massive episode. I finally, for the first time, get to drive this car on the road, and oh my gosh, what an incredible feeling it was. I'm off to get my roadworthiness check, my MOT that is required here in the UK, and I'll go into a little bit more detail about what that involves a bit later in the video. As always, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Leave me a comment below. You know, always really enjoy reading what you guys have got to think about the content I'm bringing you, how the car's shaping up, good, bad or indifferent. I really don't mind. It's always good to hear from you. Up there is the playlist to all of the other 50 videos that I've released over the last couple of years. So if this is the first one you've seen, go back and check out all of those old ones because this has been quite a journey. I think that's enough. Let's get on with this episode. So in order to get the car ready for its MOT, there are a few things that I needed to do first. First thing was to raise the suspension up pretty much as high as possible, just to make sure I wasn't going to have any issues getting onto the ramps at the garage. Coming round to the back of the car, I've got my legal registration number plate on. And also you will notice either side I've got a fog light and a reverse light. Now those are just on temporary brackets bolted to the back of the chassis. And now coming down the side, you'll see I've got my roundels and side stripes on. Now these are custom made from a design that I came up with. I'm going to get into more detail in another video, but here you can just see how the car sits moments before I go off for the MOT. So what is an MOT and why has this been such a milestone for me? So basically, in essence, any car over 3 years old here in the UK needs a yearly roadworthiness inspection. So it is a top to bottom, front to back inspection by an approved garage, and they check over everything from wheels, tyres, brakes, suspension, safety measures, you know, your airbags, if you do have any, making sure the seat belts are correct, unfrayed and fit for purpose, etc. Bodywork wise, they check that your car isn't held together with newspaper and body filler. You know, it's basically just to make sure that it's safe for the road, it's safe for the driver, and it's safe for it to be around members of the public. So with my car being over 3 years old, I was obviously eligible for this test. Now, one of the tests that is normally done is an emissions test. So that measures the amount of CO2 that the engine gives off and throws up into the sky. My car falls exempt from this test, and that is because the engine has been built from an engine block from 1969. Now, because of, call it a loophole, I call it what you like. It basically means that there is just a visual smoke test done on this engine. So there's no probe within the exhaust to measure the CO2 emissions. It's just a visual inspection just to make sure it's not bellowing out plumes of black or blue smoke. So that is a blessing in some respects with this carbon, and certainly more of a bonus once I get those quad 48s on, because there's no telling how much damage I'm going to be doing to the ozone once those are fitted. So now you know the background, I hope it makes a little bit more sense why this was such a critical part of the build process for me, why this was such a critical end goal. It basically allowed me to get the car legal and back out onto the road. I am on the way to the MOT test station. Now, to say this is a nerve-wracking experience is an incredible understatement. My eyes are pinned to every single gauge in the car. I'm listening out for any little knock, rattle, bump, because this is just surreal, absolutely surreal. So, driven about half a mile now, and yeah, the nerves have not started to settle, if I'm honest. So, things straight from the off. I think the brakes need another rebleed. They don't feel 100% great. Again, with the clutch, needs more adjustment. The bite point is extremely low, with not much feel to the clutch particularly. So those two things need to be addressed. My new seats, the angle I've got them set at, my knees are a bit too wedged into the dash, so that's a little bit uncomfy. My steering wheel is a couple of splines off of centre. Gosh, this is an incredible feeling. I can't say I'm enjoying it, but there is a whole load of emotions going on, that's a sure fact. So I'm watching the temperature gauge, and it's coming up to temperature. I've got good oil pressure, good voltage. For some reason my speedo's not working, so I'll have to sort that out. But yeah, the plan for this very first drive is to go and get the car MOT'd, so then it will be proven roadworthy, and start the shakedown process. But this is a feeling and a half. Unbelievable. Now, I'm sorry there's no multi-view cameras and anything of that nature. Yeah, my mind is just focused on the job in hand and making sure this car stays together in one piece. Lots of stones being kicked up, rattling around the panels. So it's deciphering those in between something more serious. Yeah, there's a big bang. So we'll see what's going on with that. My gosh. I've got about 4 or 5 miles to the MOT test station. So, all being well, it makes it there. The garage that I'm going to are fully aware of what's turning up. They've got experience in testing classic cars. So I'm hoping, you know, they'll enjoy seeing the car and they'll be fair in the MOT test. So I'm now just coming into the outskirts of the town where I live, where the garage is. So I may well hit some traffic. So we'll have to make sure that fans kick in, temperatures don't go crazy, and just make sure everything behaves itself. Gear shifts seem okay, even though, like I say, the clutch is quite, the bite point is incredibly low. Brakes, yeah, they need a rebleed. But I honestly can't describe these feelings. It is insane. There's no way I'm going to be driving this anywhere near the limit today. I've barely taken it over 2,000 RPM, and I'm absolutely fine with that. This is going to be a slow and steady build-up in terms of mileage and use and confidence, and basically everything that's needed to get enjoyment out of using this thing again. Oh my gosh. What? Whoa! So that was 4,000 RPM. I got another 3,000 RPM to go. And it just takes me back to when this car was working beforehand. But now it feels like a complete different animal. It still feels like a very raw car to drive, but I wish I was more eloquent in throwing together some words, but this This is insane. These small little F1 mirrors that I've fitted, they're adequate. The passenger side one needs a massive adjust. The driver side one's pretty good. Rear view mirror's great, it's mostly blocked with air filter, but I can see what's going on behind me. I'm not pushing on, just keeping up with traffic, because like I say, speedo doesn't work, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there. Gone through the gears perfectly, nice and smoothly up to 5th. And I'd say I'm cruising about 60 miles an hour at 1,500 RPM. Still coming up to temperature. There's all sorts of new smells to get used to. Whether it's the Cerakote from the exhaust, or who knows, but yeah, there's so many more things to get used to. Looking all right for the minute. Chugging along in 5th. There was a slight little top end rattle. I'm not sure whether that's a vibration from something or what. I think it's just too low down in the torque curve. Yeah, picking up, dropping down into 4th and picking up again certainly feels okay. So whatever speed I was doing, it wasn't quite ready for 5th. And again, it's all things like this that I need to reacquaint myself with. Yeah, so I'm going to take a slightly longer route to the test station, get this up to speed, up to temperature, and then go and do what's necessary. I'm not going to record in there. I just want to go in there, chat to the guy, talk him around the car, and try and make for an as easy a test as possible. And then what I'll do is check in with you after the test. If I remember, I'll try and take some photos of the car up on the ramp, but please don't hold me to it because I've got other things to focus my mind on. Right, I'm turning left here and then we're basically going to be there. So I will check in with you in a short while. Wish me luck.
2 hours later.
It passed! Unbelievably, the car sailed through its MOT without any issues whatsoever. The MOT tester was an incredibly understanding guy, real petrol head, loves classic cars, loves supercars, loves kit cars, and everything in between. So we just had a really good chat as I talked him through what had been done, how everything sat, how it was all put together, and he kind of got a decent appreciation for the level of quality that the car's been built to. An incredible weight off my shoulders, some reassurance in what I've actually built. Now, I apologise for waiting until now, until breaking the good news, but by the time I'd got through the test, which was an hour or so, you know, got all the paperwork done, drove home, I just wanted to get back, get the car in the garage, give it a quick check over. On the drive back, it got incredibly hot. And that was because I had the front number plate mounted to the front mesh. So it was blocking 90% of the airflow to the rad. So I did actually have to pull over and let the car cool down. So that was a little bit of a worrying time, a little worrying few minutes. But anyway, got home, it's back safe and sound. Now the MOT's out the way, I can get the car looking exactly how I would like it to. So I'm going to remove the rear fog light, the rear reverse light, because I don't want them on. They're legally required, don't get me wrong, but because race car, I can remove the rear black and yellow number plate and fit my black and silver one. Now again, legally, well, not quite right, but you know, it's part of the look of the car. The front number plate, like I said, I've already removed, even though, God, this is sounding like to be quite an illegal vehicle, but c'est la vie. Let's hope if I do ever get pulled over, there's a friendly policeman who's a bit of a petrol head. And then finally, get the car wound back down on the coilovers. I raised it up basically as much as possible so I wouldn't have to worry about getting it on and off the test ramps at the garage. But certainly in the next video, I want to get back out in the car with the camera again, try and get some front-facing shots. I'm not going to be delving into all of these drive-bys and cameras hanging off of the rear end and all that sort of stuff because I can't be bothered. I just want to drive the car and share the experience with you guys the best way I can with my one camera. So I've got the decals, the sticker pack to run through with you guys because I've not touched on that in any way, shape or form. And there was a whole load of thought and design that went into what I've actually ended up with on the outside of the car. And then, like I say, start getting to some shows. There is a show coming up. It may have passed, depending when I put this video out, that I want to try and get to. Now, it's probably a 40-mile round trip, so it's going to be a bit of a test for the car, a bit of a test for me as well. So let's see how that one pans out as well. And I hope I don't end up on the back of a recovery truck. The journey hasn't ended with this car, not by a long stretch. So up until that next episode, I will catch you next time.